What's up, everybody? Welcome into Around the Felt. I am your host here with a brother from the same mother, my brother, Garrett, subbing in for Colin. Garrett,
How we
thanks for
doing,
joining
brother?
in tonight.
Yep.
So we're going to be doing a NFL mock draft podcast, answering maybe some Super Bowl questions and stuff. But, Pro Bowls this week, so we're not going to talk about that much, but, Senior Bowl's going on. So a lot of people, and a lot of fans are interested in who their player is going to be drafting next year. Most people do not care about those scumbag Philly fans. Most people do not care about those Kansas City Swifties or, bandwagon 10-year-old fans of Kansas City. So let's talk about the mock drafts. Let's give these other 30 teams something to care about. The fans
You gotta get
deserve it.
media passes next year for the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, I
Bring
know. It
Around the
kind of
Felt on the
snuck up
road.
quick, and I was like, damn. I'm pretty
That'd
sure,
be huge.
if I'm not mistaken, I think Luke Newman's there. I could be wrong on that, but I'm almost positive that
Luke.
he was at it. So that's pretty cool. If you haven't listened to that interview, go check it out. We did that one before the season. But let's get into some news. So right now, it seems like a lot of coaches have been opting out of the Saints job, and that has now led to Kellen Moore emerging as the favorite, as well as Anthony Weaver, the DC for the Miami Dolphins. And Mike McCarthy decided, hey, I could have gotten the job, but I'm going to sit out this year and wait for the next coaching cycle, which I thought was interesting. But, I mean, that just comes down to the Saints job not being that attractive. What do
Yeah,
you think about that?
Mike McCarthy basically punted on that job. I mean, it's not super enticing out of all of them. I know Aaron Glenn was the guy they were highly going after, but he took the Jets job. I think Kellen Moore might be a good fit there. I don't really know if he's head coach material, to be honest, but I don't blame McCarthy for punting on that job and pulling like a Mike Vrabel, just waiting for the next cycle.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what Vrabel did. So it's funny. It's definitely funny, but that's really it. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of news.
Do you
With
think there's any chance he takes an OC job for a year, or do you think he's just going to wait?
McCarthy, I think he'll just wait. I think he'll do, or maybe do something similar to Vrabel, where like he's with a team, but he's not like really with a team, if that makes sense. Like he's kind of like,
Come to the Jets.
yeah, no, that would be. I
You
mean,
coach
hey,
up
you
your old
never
boy, your
know,
old friend Aaron Rodgers.
dude. I mean, you never know. I wouldn't hate that as a Jet fan. But I mean, that's really it on the news. There wasn't a whole lot, so we're gonna be bringing Drock in. So Drock, come on in if you're ready.
What's up, boys? From the same mother. This is Drock, not from the same mother as these cats. Yeah. It's too funny. Love having both Loziers next to me. So let's dive into these questions.
Yeah.
First question of the night from Austie. Wait, in parentheses, Dave, you're a good boy for 2 nights in a row. Or 2 nights ago. Yeah. Thanks.
There you
Austie.
go. He was talking to me. He's like, dude, I'm happy Dave finally has gone back to asking all my questions. So
yeah. First question also
Hear it,
Scott.
Austin.
Do you think the NFL should get rid of the Pro Bowl? And if not, what should they do to improve on it?
I actually do think they should get rid of it. I don't really think you need to give these players anything else. At the end of the day, it's just a money grab. All these guys making it are making a ton of money. So, what you're paying them to come really isn't much. I guess it's a cool vacation for their families, I guess. But with that kind of fuck you money, I'm sure they could just go do just about whatever they want. That's why we have all pros. That's why we have first team. That's why we have second team. So we know who the best players are. And the way it's worked out the past couple of years, you end up getting like the fifth, sixth guys. Like you're not even getting the guys that were supposed to be there. It's just like, he's can come now. Like Tyler Huntley and Gardner Minshew were Pro Bowl quarterbacks the 1 year. So it's become such a joke with the flag football, that stuff. And players will never take it serious. What'd you say?
It's all alternates. It's the alternate bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, they've already done a lot of things to change it. They don't even call it's called the Pro Bowl games now because they play flag. Some of them are fun. Like you see clips of like the dodgeball. The only one I actually enjoy is the QB throwing challenge because you just see like quarterbacks getting roasted when they can't land it in the bucket. But some of the games are fun. I mean, I'd like to see more like maybe like one-on-one drills with corner wide receivers.
Yeah, but they're not going to
smaller shit like that because no one cares about the game itself.
And they're not going to take that serious either. Like, honestly, that's what I would say. Get rid of the flag football. Like all these mini challenges and games are cool, but I would say get rid of the flag football completely.
Yeah, football's dead. Let it die.
It's dead. It's over. I'm sorry, Asti.
Yeah, but
area.
like look at it into perspective, like the NBA All-Star game too. Like you could have the same argument there, right? Like it's just what guys going out there that aren't in. I guess it's different though because it is at the end of the season. So like there are like all top guys playing in the All-Star game. It's not just the dudes that are in the Super Bowl, you know?
Well, that's a good point. And also, I guess the only differences with NBA and MLB is they're not contact sports, so you can still get it. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it may have changed with the MLB, but it used to matter. Where
It does still. I believe it's home
does.
field advantage. Yes. Wait, right? The NL won this year and Dodgers were
For
home.
the MLB, yeah.
So that
that's
would
how it
be, the only way that you could do it is, but you'd have to do the Pro Bowl before, but then still guys aren't going to be going 100% because they're like, yeah, we could get home field advantage, but if I go and tear my fucking ACL, what does it matter? Like you'll never get these guys putting it all on the line. Maybe just send the best practice squad guys. Like, I don't know. I don't think there's ever a way where the game will be taken serious. I really don't. These guys have too much to lose.
Yeah. Next question for Austin. Redraft question. Is there a unanimous number one pick right now?
No. Abdul Carter's name has now kind of come into the conversation for going number one overall.
He means redraft for fantasy.
Yeah. This is
Oh.
Yeah,
I
would
redraft.
I see what he's saying.
Yeah.
Yes.
He means fantasy drafts next year.
I mean, it's hard to not say Saquon after the year he had. I mean,
even Gibbs.
Yeah, but Montgomery's still there. He's going to be healthy. They gave him the extension for 3 years. I don't think I could take Gibbs over Saquon because I just don't think the volume will match. And in redraft, it doesn't matter. Like, yeah, Saquon will be a year older, but this isn't Dynasty. So to me, Saquon will be the 101. Hopefully, he just continues to dominate again next year if you're in that spot.
Yeah. Next question,
Garrett? Or I mean, I guess you could say
I
Chase
agree with
too.
that. I mean, I really only make an argument for Chase or Gibbs at this point. Maybe Bijan, but that's about it. I'd still trust Saquon to be the 101.
I would say Saquon too. The dude's a freaking beast. Oh my God. Next question. Is there any players that will get picked later that can make a big impact in the right situation?
Yeah, so guys
Go run with redraft again too. Or
is he talking NFL draft or
that one may have been NFL draft.
Yeah, this is
I mean, obviously there is in the NFL draft, you'll see 4th, 5th round picks make the starting roster all the time. And usually that's where team finds like a hidden gem cornerback or like defensive tackle who ends up being a pro for the all pro for them. Something like that. But it's hard to really say right now.
Yeah, and if you're looking from a fantasy perspective too, I mean, follow a lot of these rookie running backs, see where they get drafted, look at the depth charts, see what their paths are, because those are the guys that you're going to take, in the later rounds. And, I look at like a Tyrone Tracy, guy was a 5th round pick. He had a good path to potentially, I'm sorry. Are we boring you, Dave?
No, sorry. I'm just looking up the chat.
Phone was
I'm looking up.
Was like this on the camera, bro.
I saw that too.
I'm actually ChatGPTing a couple stats right now. It's too funny for the Super Bowl pick. I apologize.
No, you're good, bro. So you look at a guy like Tyrone Tracy, who was taken in the 5th round. Then you go over to Bucky Irvin with Tampa Bay, and it's like, White's the starter. Sean Tucker's there as well. So there's a couple guys, but they end up taking over the running back roles ultimately and end up returning on value like crazy. I mean, but then there's other guys like Audric Estime who never really take over, Marshawn Lloyd. So, the miss rate is obviously there. It's a higher chance of missing, but those are the guys I'm following. So some of those later running backs, like, the popular name is going to be Jeanty, Scatabo, the guys that balled out all season, had big impacts, got their teams into the college football playoffs. But I'm looking at some other running backs like an Ollie Gordon, who had a down year, but the whole Oklahoma State team had a down year. So I'm excited for him. Hopefully he goes into a situation where he can have an impact day one.
It is one of the most stacked running back classes I've ever seen.
Oh,
it
yeah.
Goes like almost like 20, 15 deep on guys that you could consider starting right away.
Yeah, this is definitely a good draft class.
Awesome class.
If you're in a situation in a dynasty league where you're really hurt on running backs, try to get some picks in this draft, put in your lottery tickets, hopefully. And if you have taxi spots, and Dave, I don't know if you know what a taxi spot is. If you have taxi spots after your draft, I mean, with all these running backs and how deep this class is, some guy might not get drafted into the best situation, but go scoop him up, just throw him there, let him sit for a year. Like I had Ray Davis on mine this year. And while he's not going to take over the backfield, he showed enough flashes that it's like, hey, like this guy's not a bad talent. Like a ghost in my house. Light
Power
flicker.
outage.
All right, well, we can move on.
Yeah. Last question for Austin. Who do you guys want your respective teams to draft this year, and who is your guys' dream pick for your team?
Well, I mean, I guess we're not going to have as much. Well, actually, Dave, if you want to chime in too, just to get a Giants perspective.
Yeah.
For me, I want the Jets to go defensive line, and more so on the interior. I think we need to get a D tackle. I mean, our biggest issue was our being able to stop the run. I like our edge rushers. So I would be looking at Mason Graham out of Michigan. I just think, he can hopefully pair nicely with Quinnen Williams and hopefully fix the run defense. And if I had my dream pick, it would be Abdul Carter, even though we do have some good edge rushers. I mean, the guy's just a freak talent. And if you can, pair him with Will McDonald, who had a great year. And I know Jermaine Johnson, obviously, is a great talent as well, but he's coming off the ACL injury. So who knows how he will recover. But, that would be my dream pick, would be Carter. But, if I could just choose what'll have the biggest impact, it would be Mason Graham.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel like that's most likely will happen. Dream scenario for me is Travis Hunter falls or one of the quarterbacks fall, which isn't likely. So that's just the dream scenario. But I'm with you on Mason Graham. I think he'd be perfect plug and play D tackle, run stopping beast next to Quinnen. Let Quinnen not get double teamed every play. Free up all the other guys like Jermaine Johnson coming back.
Yeah, so quick story. I went to D&B with a couple of my buddies and Colin a couple weeks ago, and obviously as good as I am at an arcade game, I did win a football, and it was a New York Giant football. So I decided to take my talents onto the street like Shedeur Sanders did, because that's the guy who I would love to have on my team. And it just felt like, I could connect with him in such a way of he was just a perfect fit for the New York Giants. And I don't know, the culture in New York just sounds like Shedeur Sanders, so I'd love to have him, but obviously too Travis Hunter. I don't know
He
too
was
much
throwing
about
those
this.
spirals to Malik Neighbors in New York City.
Oh yeah. I was more the Shedeur, and Colin was more the Malik. He can't throw a ball to save his life, but I was looking just as good as Shedeur was on the streets in New York City. So yeah, that would be great. And honestly, dream scenario, I would just love to have a quarterback. I know I've only been a fan for fucking 3 years of New York Giants football, but I want a quarterback who's going to win a wild card game and potentially go further into playoffs, maybe not past the Eagles, but yet I would love to see a guy do a hell of a lot better in the last 2 seasons after winning a wild card game than Daniel Jones. So
listen, man, it's exciting having a rookie quarterback. Does it always work out? No.
Right.
Us as Jet fans, we've had a lot of experiences of drafting a guy, getting excited. I mean, we've seen Sanchez, we've seen Geno, we have seen Sam Darnold, we have seen Zach Wilson, and potentially we'll be on our 5th guy, in our young lives. So it is exciting, but for us, it just never has worked out. But it's definitely fun because it's like even when your team is out of the playoff race, at least like you want to watch the games. Like that's the one thing that's nice when you are out of the season and out of the playoffs. Like at least you have that young quarterback where you're like, I still want to watch. If they win the game, I'm happy. I just want to see this guy ball out. Like similar to the spot that Panthers fans were in this year, Patriots fans were in this year, where they had the young guy and it's like, hey, like he's balling out. Like let's just try to get some wins. Who cares if it messes up the draft pick? Because at least he's proving he's the guy.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Aussie. I asked all of your questions, so I love to see in parentheses next time that I'm the best. All right, let's dive to Caleb. It's a good question. He asks, I don't know much about college ball boys, so enlighten me. How does this year's draft class stack up against years past, and give it a Class A grade?
Yeah, I can start. I honestly, it's a lot of top heavy talent. Like if you have a top 10 pick this year and you're not, quarterback's always a crapshoot. You never really know. But the guys who are supposed to be like top 10 guys are all blue chip, like honestly, almost like can't miss prospects. But if you're stuck in that like middle of the first round range, I don't think it's as stacked as like other classes have been. I don't like this is not a draft that like you can really trade back and feel good about it. Like if you're a team like around like 10 or 9, then trading back to like 15, 20 range. I don't think it's a good draft to do anything like that. But like I said before, the running backs are stacked. There's a loaded wide receiver class. It's hard to say how it compares without having like quarterbacks to kind of carry it. So it's hard to rank it compared to like last year where we saw 5 quarterbacks go round 1 and all become starters first year.
Yeah, I mean, I would, I would say right away, to me, this draft class doesn't seem special. I mean, it seems special for maybe a fantasy football player, but this last year's draft class definitely seemed more impressive to me. I would give this year maybe a C on the draft class. And I mean, if you just look back last year, like that may have been an A plus. Like that might be one. We might look back at that as one of the best draft classes of all time. The amount of guys that showed flashes and teams that hit on their first round picks, it's crazy. Because all 5 out of the 6 quarterbacks taken, looked good, showed enough flashes. I mean, I guess Penix still to be determined, but he showed enough. And then you go to the wide receivers, Brian Thomas, Malik Neighbors, they were studs. Lad McConkey, second rounder stud. And even Marvin Harrison and Rome, I expect them to have better year 2s.
Throw Brock Bowers in there too.
Yep. I was going to get to him next. I was going
generational.
Brock Bowers, obviously, best tight end season we've ever seen out of a rookie. And, he almost led the league in receiving yards and receptions. So that just speaks to how good he is. We had some good O-linemen, a lot of those guys. And it was funny because it was a lot of O-linemen taken. A few of them dealt with some injuries and, didn't get to play right away. Like, Trey Fantanu with the Steelers, I know, got injured. Who else am I forgetting about?
The Bengals tackle didn't play that well.
Yes.
Amarius Mims.
Amarius Mims. And then obviously the Jets O-tackle. Why am I blanking on his name?
Olu Fashanu.
Yeah, Olu Fashanu. Thank you.
And Joe
obviously, he showed some flashes and stuff in his time, and Joe Alt, and it just seems like a very good draft. So it's hard to me to imagine that they're just going to replicate it. I'm actually curious how many of those guys, how many rookies ended up being Pro Bowlers this year from like this past class. I'd be curious to see. So I'm going to try to figure that out.
Yeah, I would say I'm more intrigued by next year's 2026 class than this year's class. I think we're going to see a lot more, I don't know, just an overall better first round of talent. But it's the draft, man. It's fun every year, no matter what.
Wait, what? Dude, Drake May's in the Pro Bowl? What?
Yeah, that was...
What?
A bunch of guys turned it down, I think.
Okay, this just goes back to the Pro Bowl. I'm not saying Drake May's bad, but like that just tells you why we shouldn't have a Pro Bowl.
When he was a rookie.
Like, I understand that, but I mean, dude, he
it's
was like,
just turning it down. You can't even get triggered about it.
Did Rodgers get a chance at that point? Because like that,
he definitely turned it down because I looked at the stats. He has like 18 more touchdown passes and the same amount of picks.
Bro,
like 1,000 more yards.
That's funny as fuck. I mean, Jaden Daniels, Malik ended up getting in, I guess. He must have subbed in for somebody. Jared Verse, too, obviously, on the defensive side of the ball, and Quinion Mitchell. Can't forget about them.
Well,
obviously, even Xavier Worthy was sick. So a lot of good impact players in year 1. So we'll see how this draft class ends up working out. And even guys like, Laitu Latu, Byron Murphy, Dallas Turner. I mean, they didn't have big roles right away, but I'm excited. But I will say also, I don't think we'll see ever again what we saw last year where we saw 14 offensive players off the board first. So this is already probably a better defensive draft.
All right, next question for Caleb. What's the Jets draft strategy, and do you have any expectations for the team at all going into next year?
Yeah, I would say, the Jets draft strategy has got to be, plugging in the holes. So, like, we need our offense was good. If we are going to bring back Aaron Rodgers, that's awesome. I would say offensive lineman because, we brought in 2 fillers in Morgan Moses and Tyron Smith. I was about to say Trent Smith, Tyron Smith.
He stinks.
So both guys obviously didn't work out. So we're going to need another tackle to pair with Aquanu.
Okay. Aquanu. Olu Fashanu. I think the team's biggest needs right now. I think the way we see this draft goes, they're going to need If you look at the Jets roster right now, their only receiver who you can rely on, depending on Devontae if he comes back or not, which I don't think he will. His cap hit is $30 million right now, so he'll probably get cut or reworked. But then leaves us with Garrett Wilson and no one else because Lazard's going to get cut. Malaki Corley didn't play a single game last year. So if we want to go wide receiver, I wouldn't hate it. But I think now having the defensive coach, we might lean towards a guy like Mason Graham or even Will Johnson, who I'd be excited about if we lose DJ Reed.
Yeah.
Like corner, D tackle, wide receiver, like spots where we could go first round.
Yeah, but I still would think we would need another tackle. You know, and
I don't know. Morgan Moses and Fashanu could be fine.
Yeah, I don't know. There's some issues. I mean, quarterback's still in play too.
Who knows?
Quarterback's still in play too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jalen Miller round 4.
Who? Baby hands? You know, he's the smallest hands. Dude, I heard today.
Give me Will Howard then.
Dude, his hands aren't even 9 inches. Like they're 8 something. Like our hands are probably bigger. He's got baby hands. He's got smaller hands than baby hands. Pickett.
I was gonna say, can you pick it?
He is like
was
the
on a
record for
podcast
this.
and said he had to stretch his hand out every day before they measured it.
Yeah,
no, he try to make it look bigger.
Yeah, no, he has the smallest hands, like measured for a quarterback, I believe. That has
right, no more Jets talk. We can move on.
All right, last question for Caleb. Name a guy who is slept on by the general public who could sneak into the first round conversation unexpectedly.
Yeah, you know, I would tell you, you know, if you're looking for guys like that, you know, try to watch some of the Senior Bowl this week on YouTube. Look at some clips. You know, look at what these guys down there are writing about, because those are usually the guys that, you know, get the buzz. This is the time for them to make improvements. So those would be the guys I would be looking at heavily. You know,
I would slip you a name quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have been keeping up with the Senior Bowl. The guy who's been breaking out the most as a wide receiver is Tez Johnson from Oregon. He was their number 1 wide receiver, and he's been quote unquote like unguardable the whole time. I've seen some clips. He's just torching all the corners out there. He's a guy who's supposed to be like a 3rd round pick, but if he balls out an event like this with all the scouts watching and like has a good combine, he could be like a late 1st round draft pick.
Yeah, and I would think, I mean, it's a pretty bad quarterback class, but there are so many teams that are desperate. I mean, we know Shedeur and Cam are definitely going. Carson Beck obviously is going back to college. You know, so it really comes down to, you know, Quinn Ewers, Jackson Dart, you know, Dylan Gabriel, Kyle McCord. So there's
Kyle
not like
McCord, yeah.
But I still think Jalen Milroe will get pushed into the first round because he has that Lamar Jackson type of athleticism where I could see a team, you know, doing similar to Lamar where they trade back in and people are like, well, you know, this guy's got this wrong with him. You know, he's not going to translate to the NFL, but he's a physical freak. So let's take the shot on him. So I could see a team ultimately trading back into the first round, taking the shot on Jalen Milroe and letting him learn. Okay, that's fine.
Jalen, only because like you see guys like Jalen Hurts stick to the 2nd round, like
yeah, but he was
similar kind of prospect.
You know, he was early 2nd round, so it wasn't like he fell far out. And also, you know, I'm just saying this quarterback class and you know the state of the quarterback market right now, where there's so many teams where it's like, you know, like there's more more teams than quarterbacks out there. So I think, you know, a lot of these rookies may get drafted later, but we'll have a chance to start day 1.
All right, before I head out, while I was on my phone, I wanted to talk to you guys about this, and we mentioned it off pod, but BR Betting posted, I know it has nothing to do with the podcast tonight, but I got to talk about it, because BR posted a entertainment for only pick, but it was for a player to cry during the Super Bowl. It was yes at -200 and no at +160, and everybody would think it'd be a lot because it's very emotional for football players making it to the Super Bowl. But however, not every performance has such a response. In 2023, while the national anthem was performed by Rebecca and Tyre, there were no players reported crying.
Isn't that the one Sirianni was like bawling his eyes out at?
No, that's 2022.
That was but it's his player. It can't be coached then.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
true. I didn't even think of that because
I
this
think
is
it would be an
player.
Eagles player, if anything, because the Chiefs have been here like 3 straight years.
Last year, yes, Chris
It's
Jones
nothing new for
was
them.
trying, but there was no instances
If you
of
had to guess,
that's crazy.
they should let you
So,
pick which player.
Yeah, that'd be sick. And then whichever one does, they're just going to instantly investigate for like
Maybe
gambling.
Saquon will cry.
Yo, Dave, one more thing. I wanted to bring up
Mhm.
this stat real quick. I heard so I recently found out, and I don't know if you guys saw about it, but how the SEC in basketball, their conference went 54-54 against each other, and it actually turned out, I did some digging, that the NFL, in all their games, it ended with 500 on the season between wins and losses. And can you guys guess how many times that's happened in history where by the end of the year there were the same amount of wins and same amount of losses on the season?
never.
It's happened every single season, you idiots. Because
Yeah,
there's no way it can't be 500.
Yeah, I was just about to say, what are you talking?
Yeah, I know.
I
and I
honestly
heard.
was barely listening, to be honest.
I just
I was
like.
gonna let Dave answer that.
Isn't that funny though? Like you don't even realize that. Dave, try that one on Colin later. Try that one on Colin. See if you
Yeah.
can catch him, because that'll
I
get
was
them all
like-
fucking riled up. But because if you think about it, there's an even amount of teams, there's an even amount of games. No matter what, every time there's a winner and loser, every team plays 17 games. So no matter what, every season ends in a 500 record.
Yeah, no, that
So I
got
saw
me.
that.
That got me. I was like, wait, what the fuck is he talking about?
Yeah, I was seeing that, pushed around, and I guess some college coach fell for it and like brought it up in his press conference, and it was the Rhode Island coach, and he was talking about like, oh yeah, the SEC's having a down year, like they're 54-54 in conference play, and they're like, yeah, no shit, there's no other possible outcome. So some guy duped him on Twitter, so you got to get Colin later and be like, do it exactly like that, and let me know his reaction.
No, I'm going to.
That's awesome. All right, so we're gonna take a quick break, and then we're gonna come back with the mock draft. All right, everybody, welcome back in. We're gonna be doing our mock draft now. I got Garrett here tonight filling in for Colin. For those of you who maybe skipped just to the mock draft portion, we got Drock men in the commissioner role here, and we're gonna be doing picks 1 through 32. Once we get to the end, I believe it'll have the Eagles at 31 and the Chiefs at 32 based off a record. And Garrett's going to do the odd numbers. I'm going to do the even numbers. And yeah, I mean, hey, it's January. The Saints don't even have a coach yet. We don't even know how free agency is going to shake out and all that stuff. So don't give us too much shit. But, if you are going to give us shit, drop a comment. Let us know where we went wrong. Because I know nobody's going to give us our flowers. You're just going to give us our crap. So yeah, Garrett, why don't you get us going?
It's all right.
Or actually, I'm
still
sorry,
hear me
Commissioner. Commissioner, let us know it's official.
Ding, 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 ding. And with the first pick in the NFL 2025 draft, I gotta say that's fucking. I did it wrong, dude.
Boo.
Yeah, I was a horrible commissioner last year.
Don't worry, the
for
commission
same
always
draft.
gets booed. It's all right.
The
All right,
Titans
Garrett,
are
who
the
you
clock,
taking?
and now it's on the clock.
Titans
Yeah,
are on the clock. Titans are going to take quarterback Cameron Ward, University of Miami. Yeah, I got Cam Ward going here. I mean, I guess it's a toss-up between him and Shedeur right now. It seems like from the reports we're getting that they're going to lean towards Cam Ward. We'll see this little battle between the two pick up as we get closer. Right now, I'd lean Cam Ward as a quarterback I trust a little more than Shedeur. I mean, he's got the stats to worthy getting drafted number one. He threw 39 touchdowns last year, only 7 picks. I would have loved to see his team make the playoffs so we could have seen him play in like bigger games. Miami was close to making that push at the end, but they couldn't get in because that would have been a good test. We didn't see either of these guys play any playoff football, so it's tough to say how they're going to perform in big games. Miami didn't play in a lot of like huge games this year. We saw him really boost his career since transferring there. Hopefully, a quarterback like Carson Beck can do the same, but we'll see. I think Titans need a quarterback bad. I don't think Will Levis is the answer for them, and I think they're just going to take their quarterback to the future. They just got a new GM from coming over from Kansas City. I think he's going to be excited to get the chance to draft his own quarterback. I don't think he's going to want to roll with Will Levis.
Yeah, so Obviously, that's a no-brainer. Or I guess maybe not. I'm going to go a different route this time. Last time I went with Shedeur Sanders, but I'm actually going to go with edge rusher Abdul Carter for the Browns. They go the best player available, probably the best defensive player in this draft, generational talent on the edge. They just came out and said today they're not going to trade Myles Garrett, and that's great. That tells me they still want to compete. I've heard Kirk Cousins' name floated around. They might try to get a veteran quarterback. I don't think they want to just give up with all that talent on defense. So, you still got Denzel Ward in the secondary. You got Myles Garrett. Now you bring up Abdul Carter. I mean, you're really getting a mean defense here. So, and with Kevin Stefanski as a head coach, all you need is some sort of game manager, because if they keep loading up this defense, it could get scary. I still think they can compete. I mean, we saw them beat the freaking Ravens last year with Jameis Winston. It is a dumpster fire, but if they can figure out the quarterback position, or, throw a Band-Aid on it in some sense, a little bit better than Jameis, not Dorian Thompson-Robinson or Deshaun Watson, but somebody that can at least keep them in games, move the ball downfield, and, take some pressure off that defense, that Browns team could still compete next year.
Carter and Myles Garrett together.
That's what I'm saying. That would be scary.
In this scenario, like, if he is on the trade block, like we've heard a little bit.
No, he's not. They said he's not on the trade block, so I would say why not pair them together? Like, I don't, because I think right now, like, I don't necessarily know if Kevin Stefanski. I just don't know. Like, everyone's just like so sure that the Browns are either going Travis Hunter or Shedeur Sanders. Like, why are we going to rule out Abdul Carter? Like, he is the best edge rusher in this draft, and he's probably the best defensive player in this draft. I mean, the dude's a fucking freak.
If you're taking Carter, though, do you consider trading back one spot with the Giants if they feel like?
Maybe. I mean, I'm not going to do it for this mock draft, but, maybe. That's a very good point. That's a very good point.
Giants don't really know where they're going to go, and they might prematurely, like, trade up a couple weeks before the draft and make sure they can get one of the quarterbacks. But either way, right now with the Giants, I'm on the clock with pick 3. I'm going to give them their quarterback of the future, Shedeur Sanders. It's hard not to go quarterback here, especially with free agency not happening yet. We don't know if the Giants are going to bring in quarterback. There's not really good options. Maybe Sam Darnold, but I'm sure they'd rather take their rookie and reset their timeline a little bit. We get Brian Dable to pick his own quarterback. He did not draft Daniel Jones. He tried to revive his career. It worked for a season, then it went to shit. I still think Brian Dable would be a great coach to develop like a rookie quarterback. So this will be exciting for Giants fans, and I know they'd be happy to get a guy like Shedeur. Even after winning that game meaninglessly at the end of the year, they still get their quarterback in this situation. So it all works out for them.
Yeah, great pick. Now at 4, I'm going Travis Hunter. I mean, the Patriots are in a spot where they have a lot of holes. And the nice thing is they have $125 million in cap space, but here it's a no-brainer. I mean, you take debatable the best player in this draft. Obviously, the dude's a freak. He can play both sides of the ball. You never see that. So, they have issues, obviously, in their wide receiver core, so it'll be nice for them to make some packages up. But obviously, he'll pair nicely with Christian Gonzalez if they choose to use him as a corner primarily, which I would assume they would. So for the Patriots, it just fills one of their many holes they have going into 2025.
All right, this is where it gets a little interesting. We got the Jaguars up. They need a couple of things. They could use a lot of help on the defensive side. Obviously, their new coach just came in. He's an offensive guru, so maybe I don't really see them needing like another weapon right now. Like, obviously, Ted McMillan's intriguing, but I think they just have to go with a corner, and I'm going to give them Will Johnson, corner from Michigan. He's one of the best corner prospects we've seen. I think he's very similar prospect to Sauce Gardner and Derek Stingley, where he warrants being that top 10 pick. In this case, like top 5 pick. We saw it work with Sauce. Teams can get a little scared taking a corner this high, but Johnson's done it at the highest level his whole career. He's won the national championship before. He had another killer year this year. He's a freak athlete. He's got the size, the long arms. I think he's going to be a stud, and they just desperately need like a lockdown corner. They were getting torched all last season.
No, it's a good pick. I mean, it will fill a big hole, and he was regarded as the best corner coming into this year. Obviously Travis Hunter had a great year as well, so can't go wrong there with him falling in their lap at 5. At 6, so I'm going to go with Ted McMillan from Arizona. I mean, the dude's a physical freak, 6'5". The Raiders don't really have that go-to big wide receivers, so that'll fill a role there. You could pair him with Brock Bowers and Jacoby Myers. So, I would have loved to go quarterback here, but I don't think there's anyone that warrants taking at 6. So either, they run with AOC, not to get political, or they, go and get someone in free agency, or maybe they get someone in the second, third round. I mean, we talked about how, this isn't the best quarterback class, but there will be guys later on the grab. So at least, whoever is a quarterback, you're giving them another weapon to pair with Bowers and, giving them Pete Carroll a lot of options there.
I'm so excited for Ted McMillan. If you guys haven't seen his highlight tape yet, go check that out. This guy's a freak. He's got Mike Evans' size, but he is just way more athletic after the catch. You'll see him make these freak catches and run for like 40 yards after the catch and finish it for a touchdown. This guy's a freak, and
he's going to be a stud.
Whatever team drafts him is going to be fucking excited.
Well, and that's kind of also why, wide receiver might not be the biggest need for the Raiders, but, where they are with so many holes to fill, you just got to go the best player available at that point.
I like that. Yeah. All right. Our New York Jets, baby. When we talked about it earlier, I'm not going to change it up now. I'm going to have them go Mason Graham, Michigan D tackle. This would be huge for the Jets because we saw in 2023 Jets defense, everyone kind of saw how good it was. It was like top 3, top 5. And the D-line was the reason. And then last year, they let a lot of their players walk on the D-line. They didn't re-sign their own. And the defense fell apart. You can have Sauce Gardner and all these great secondary guys and good linebackers, but if you're not getting to the quarterback, your defense is not gonna produce. And you put him next to Quinnen Williams, and I think they're going to switch their system to be a little more blitz heavy. So you're going to need a guy in the middle to really just eat up a lot of the running plays. And Mason Graham's a freak. I don't know if many people see his highlights because he's D tackle. They don't get put on Instagram or anything as much, but this guy's a monster. Similar to Will Johnson, he played on that championship team. He's played big level football. I'd be really excited for him if he came to New York.
Awesome. So at number 8 for the Panthers, I'm going to go with Will Campbell, tackle at LSU. They did draft Aquanu a couple of years ago. That's who I was mixing up Fashanu with earlier. Sorry for those of you who were maybe screaming casual. But, Will Campbell, I really like what he has to offer in this draft. I mean, and for Bryce Young, I mean, you got to keep getting protection. Obviously, you get Robert Hunt, you get Damian Lewis in free agency to try to solidify those guard spots. I could say you could go a wide receiver here, but there's no one I really love here. So, Will Campbell, is known for his pass protection, and it seems like, the Panthers last year wanted to run the ball with Chuba Hubbard, but then, they kind of switched the way they were rolling and letting Bryce Young develop more as a passer. So why not get one of the better pass protecting tackles in this draft and really, try to solidify this offensive line for Bryce Young, keep him upright. You can always get a wide receiver via trade, free agency, or in the second round.
Okay, I like that. The Saints are coming up next. They're a tough spot to predict what they're going to do. They don't have.
We don't even know who their coach is.
We don't know who their coach is. They're in cap hell, so they're going to have to cut a bunch of players. So they're probably going to have even more holes than they do as it sits right now. When I think of a team like the Saints, they desperately kind of need like a star edge rusher with Jordan. I'm blanking on his name.
On who? On the Saints?
They're aging best player on defense. Their D end, Cameron Jordan.
Oh, Cameron Jordan. I'm sorry. I think we're talking about it.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't know what I was thinking you were saying.
But he's aging. He's a guy. They brought in Chase Young on like a kind of more of a prove it deal. So you can tell they've been trying to get Cameron Jordan's like replacement for a while. So I'm going to give him James Pearce Jr. from Tennessee, an edge rusher. There's really a lot of ways you can go here, but getting a premium position in the first round is usually the way you want to go. There's not really. I like Luther Burden, but without them having like that much promise at quarterback, it's hard for me to just say like, yeah, let's just give Derek Carr all these weapons. Like, you got to build the roster from the ground up and get an edge rusher in the trenches.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. Sorry, I was just looking at who I wanted to take next.
Yeah.
For the Bears, I actually think they might go Ashton Jeanty here. And the reason is,
I
well, I
would
know
love that.
they did pay DeAndre Swift. I look at who their new head coach is in Ben Johnson and the approach he took of a 1-2 punch, and I think Jeanty and Swift could be that. I think he'll try to model his offense similar to the Lions. Although Caleb, obviously, you can do a lot more with him than you can Jared Goff, but we saw the Lions take Gibbs and what big of an impact he's been, and everyone really questioned that pick years ago. Well, nobody's questioning it now, so I think they go out and get the best running back in college football. It's a premium pick. You could go O-line there. This might be questioned because obviously there was a lot of questions there last year. And I'm sure I'll get a lot of flack. There's no chance the Bears go that. But, obviously last year they elected to go with Roma Dunze over offensive line, so I wouldn't be shocked again. And, hey, they're still free agency, so they might try to adjust, the center, guard, tackle spots in that.
Yeah. So 49ers, I'm going to have them take Josh Simmons, tackle from Ohio State. The Niners roster is still stacked. Even though they had a terrible year, they still have an awesome roster. So I'm going to have them take a tackle, which is one of their biggest needs, especially with their star left tackle getting hurt last year. You can't – why am I blanking on his name now too?
Oh, on the 49ers? Trent Williams you're talking
Yeah.
about? Yeah.
Don't call me a casual. I'm sorry, fans. I was just blanking on it. But yeah, I would love for it. There's no really better tackle to learn from right now in the league than Trent Williams. So you get him learning under Trent Williams, put him on the right side for now while Williams is still there, and then move Josh Simmons over to the left side once he's kind of retired or done. And he'll have all the tools that he'll need. 6'5", 310 pounds. Just won a national championship as well. So I'm going to have them get their tackle here.
Great. Yeah, I'm going Luther Burden here for the Cowboys. I mean, I've been talking about it. I actually took him there last time. I just think he'll pair nicely with CeeDee Lamb. He kind of brings, a different aspect to that offense. I mean, we saw they were lacking a lot of talent outside of CeeDee this year. I did like Jalen Tolbert. He slid in nice, but I think he's, more of a wide receiver 3. Brandon Cooks is on the back end of his career, so I'm assuming they're going to bring Dak Prescott back. And, with Schottenheimer taking over, offensive-minded coach, you'd think he'd want to go offense. And Jerry loves making the splashes in the draft. And, Luther Burden would be a big splash. I mean, before last year, he was supposed to be, the number 1 wide receiver. In this case, I guess he's 2 or 3, depending on what you want to consider Travis Hunter. But, that pick really excites me for what he can unlock for that offense.
Yeah. I think Luther Burden's he was getting a lot more hype before the season started because he didn't have as crazy of a year as people would have projected. But I don't want to forget how good this player really is. Ted McMillan's getting more love right now, but Luther Burden's also going to be a stud.
Mm-hmm.
And if he goes to a place like Dallas, he's going to get to show the world too, playing in prime time all the time. For the Dolphins, I'm going to have them take Malaki Starks under the assumption that Javon Holland, who's a free agent right now, walks or they don't retain. They don't have a lot of money right now, so it might be tough to bring back Holland. So if they don't, I think Starks could be a great trade-off, replacement for him. This guy was a freak at Georgia, and I don't really love the Dolphins secondary right now. I think it's a lot of older names like Ramsey, and especially if you lose Howard, you got to get younger there. So I think Starks can plug in really nicely there. Unless they just want to get crazy with it and go Tyler Warren and just keep stacking their offense.
Yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with that. For the Colts here, I mean, I would love to go Tyler Warren, but I think, after seeing the collapse of that defense down the stretch, I think you have to go with a defensive player. I think they'll be licking their chops with Mykel Williams from Georgia falling to them here. I mean, he's regarded as one of the better edge rushers, so if this is to happen, I think they just go best player available. I know they took Latu Latu, I believe, at 15 last year. So at least they solidify, hopefully, their edge rushers to the future, pairing them together. And that's the one thing in the NFL. I feel like you can never have too many pass rushers. I mean, it's great to keep guys fresh. So, you could also look at the secondary here. I mean, especially after, Drew Lock pieced that defense up in Week 17 in a must-win game. So I think Colts have to go defense here after that and missing out on the playoffs. So I'll go Mykel Williams here. Go best available. Take a premier edge rusher at this point.
Okay. I'm going to go a similar approach for the Falcons. I'm kind of surprised they're saying that wide receiver is their biggest need. I don't know if I would agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, dude, Mooney looked
London's
good as a number 2.
Mooney looked good. Yeah, I don't really like that. So I'm not going to go wide receiver, even though a Meek and Bouquet would be sweet there. They don't need to draft another first-round wide receiver weapon. I'm going to have them take Mike Green, edge rusher out of Marshall. I'm not going to act like I've watched any Marshall football games this year, but I was looking through his stats, and he had 17 sacks last year, which is awesome. And the scouts look like they're raving about him. So in this situation, he's the best edge on the board still. And the Falcons didn't really get what they were hoping for last year from the edge rusher they brought over from the Patriots.
Matt Judon, yeah.
Yeah, he didn't really fill that need they were hoping for last year. A lot of fans were hoping they'd get that D tackler edge rusher. They obviously go quarterback, so I don't think you can punt on that again this year. And their coach is a defensive mind, Raheem Morris, coming from the Rams the year before then. He's a defensive-sided guy who could get one of his own right here.
Are you done? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think I'm done.
Yeah, no, I do like the Mike Green pick. I think, a lot of people are going to be like, who? That's a reach. But I think by the time the NFL drafts come around, he's a guy that's going to get a ton of buzz. If I'm not mistaken, he is at the Senior Bowl, right?
Yeah, he's a senior, so
Yeah, so, he's a guy that's going to get a lot of buzz. Oh, no, he's only a sophomore. I'm sorry.
He's a sophomore.
Yeah, he's not at the Senior Bowl,
young.
but I think,
6'4",
the tape speaks for itself. He's going to get a lot of buzz as it comes up closer, but 17 sacks, I mean, I don't care where you're playing at. That's ridiculous. I mean, and he's got the size at 6'4", 250, so you'll love to see that. Yeah. So let's go to the Cardinals here. Offensive line is their biggest issue here. So I ended up, I'm going to go with a combo guy, a guy that can play guard, a guy that can play tackle, kind of at that weird spot. But Kelvin Banks from Texas, he's listed as a tackle, but he's undersized. So I think that, they expect him to be able to shift into guard. I mean, he's only 6'4", 320. So I say only, but, that's not exactly the size of a stereotypical tackle in today's league. But, I just think they have to solidify it. You got to give Kyler the time, to sit back in that pocket. And it seemed like down the stretch, like he was just always running for his life. So for me, this is a big pick for the Cardinals here. And I just love how versatile he is, that he has that guard tackle flexibility.
Yeah. Bengals are up. I guess this simulator is assuming that T. Higgins walks because it's saying they need a wide receiver. But everyone knows the Bengals need to fix that defense. I'm going to have them take Benjamin Morrison, the stud cornerback out of Notre Dame. He's only 20 years old. He's probably still going to be 20 by the time the draft comes. So he's a young guy that they can develop. And he had a great year. All their fans were saying on Twitter, oh, he's going to lock down the Ohio State receivers, which didn't happen. But besides that, he still had an amazing year. And the Bengals need all the help they can get. And in a division that they're in, a lot of teams have stud wide receivers, and they need a true guy that they can match up against them.
Yeah, no, I don't think you can go wrong there. I mean, they obviously have to go defense. I mean, if they don't go defense, I would be shocked. I mean, the team literally missed the playoffs because they couldn't stop a nosebleed. And I'm not even trying to be funny there or to be a jerk, but I mean, it was just embarrassing. Overall embarrassing. So they significantly need to figure it out. So, but let's go on over to the Seahawks. Another team I think needs to address the O-line. I mean, Geno was just, running for his life. It seemed like Charbonnet, Kenneth Walker, whoever was in the backfield, was always getting hit behind the line of scrimmage. I mean, luckily for them, they were two guys that, was able to protect the line because they didn't go down easily. But I'm going to go with a guard here, regarded as one of the top guards in this draft out of Alabama, Tyler Booker. For him, he is a bigger guy, which is kind of funny because I was talking about with Banks how he's a smaller guy, but he's a bigger guy at 6'5", 325. But he's one of the better run blockers in this draft class. And that's why I like it a lot, because I think Seattle, to fully have success, needs to figure out a way to run the ball. Like, your recipe for them is not having Geno Smith, be a top 5 guy in passing yards. I think next year, for them to really have success, it's going to be play great defense, run the ball, control the clock. So, and when you have 2 guys that are very capable in Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet, that's why you go out and get one of the better run blocking guards in this draft in Tyler Booker.
Okay. Buccaneers. I'm gonna actually have them take Amik and Buke. Amik, I've never been able to say this guy's name. Amik and Buke.
Really?
Ohio State.
Really?
I'm gonna give a little reasoning because I know Godwin's a free agent. I think they will bring him back, but he's an aging player that's gotten hurt so many. I feel like every year he gets hurt, and he's not getting any younger. Mike Evans, stud, not getting any younger. And when you have an opportunity, what this feels like to me is like when the Seahawks took JSN at a similar spot. It's just like a talent like that is hard to pass on. And they had DK and Tyler Lockett still at the time. And
and
you're
forgetting about
JSN, we're like, you can't pass on him.
Well, you're forgetting about Jalen McMillan too. But I get it. You're expecting Chris Godwin to walk or not be resigned, or not part of the future.
I guess you're right. McMillan is a dog, but I don't see them with that many holes that they can't take best available right now. I also like their tight end, Cade Otton, so I wasn't going to have them go with Tyler Warren. I just think he's a rare talent. It's kind of hard to pass on him right here for them, but obviously they can go other ways.
Hey, well, guess what? I got a team that's not going to pass on the tight end, a team that's looking for more offensive weapons to pair with their very young, very talented quarterback in Bo Nix. Give me Tyler Warren, Dave. You don't even need to scroll. He's the top guy. They're licking their chops here. He obviously had an insane year at Penn State. For those of you who watched him play throughout the college football playoffs, I mean, he was their number 1 guy on offense. It wasn't any of the wide receivers. It was the Tyler Warren show. And I mean, they used this guy all over the place. They were using him in the running game as well. So he's quite the chess piece. I think the Denver will be licking their chops, super happy, to get him, pair him with Cortland Sutton, give Bo Nix, a very talented guy. And, obviously he needs to improve more in the run blocking game, but I think that will come over time. I'm not going to act like he's terrible, but there's definitely, if there's one thing I could point to, he needs to improve there. As a blocker, and that's all right. I mean, I think this is another team that'll be a candidate to draft a running back later as well, but you just got to go Tyler Warren here. He's going to be a beast, and give Bo Nix just such a good target to throw the ball to.
Yeah, I like that. I think he'd probably even go higher, but in this situation falls to 20. I think that's an awesome landing spot for him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have the Steelers go again with a weapon. I'm gonna go Matthew Golden, wide receiver out of Texas. Golden's been a stud for that Texas offense. He's been the number 1 guy this year, so we got to see it more when the other studs left last year to go to the draft. So we got to see him more in that number 1 role, and he took over with 9 touchdowns and nearly 1,000 yards. Quinn Ewers is main go-to guy, and the Steelers are a team. They just really need another wide receiver. Pickens is a great wide receiver, but they were trying to trade for wide receivers the whole season. They tried to get Brandon Ayuk. They brought in Mike Williams to try to patch it a little bit. But if they don't get anyone in free agency, they're going to be just really looking for a wide receiver. And why not take one of the best ones in the draft right here at pick 21?
All right. I like that. Steelers obviously, are very good at drafting wide receivers. So if they choose to go Golden, I'm sure he'll work out, just going off their history. I'm going to go with another tight end here. The Chargers are like, hey, Denver's not the only one getting a tight end in the first round. I'm going Colston Loveland out of Michigan. John Harbaugh. I'm sorry.
I like that. Yeah.
Oh, wait.
I meant
Jim. I'm sorry. I said John, but I meant Jim. Jim Harbaugh gets his guy. Getting his Michigan boy. So that was kind of a huge reason why I liked it. But I mean, not only because of that. I mean, the kid is very good. He's one of the better pass catching tight ends in this draft class. Had a huge impact for Michigan, similar to what I was saying with Tyler Warren, where he was one of their top options as a pass catcher. Like it was almost like having another wide receiver on the field. And the good thing for the Chargers or maybe not a good thing, but they just need to go offense. Like that's the big thing they need to focus on. Get Justin Herbert some weapons. I mean, obviously McConkey seems sick, but Quentin Johnston, Josh Palmer, are they part of the future? The tight end room, we saw a couple different guys in Stone Smart, Will Dissly, they had a revolving door. So at least hopefully this can solve the tight end position. I'm surprised they say running back is the top need. I do not think it is at all for this team. But I think this, fixes and plugs a big hole for them.
I think tight end's a big need for them too. And I love that he pairs back up with Harbaugh.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of like the big selling point for me. It's like, he fills a hole. And it's like, how do you not go and get a guy you've coached and So
so we got the Green Bay Packers up now. I think I'm going to have him take an edge rusher. It's really between Stewart and Sawyer for me. I'm going to go Jack Sawyer out of Ohio State. Both of these guys are studs, but it really could go either way, I guess. I don't know a ton about the guy, but from what I'm seeing, that he would fill the need for the Packers there. Don't have too much to say about him. Got to turn on the tape a little more. But what do you think the Packers need, Reagan? I could see corner being a need if Jari.
Jack Sawyer's a little bit older. I mean, obviously he had the big touchdown in the who was it against? Against Oregon. He had the big, the big return touchdown. So he's an older player. I don't hate that. I mean, I would think they may go wide receiver there, but I guess they are kind of deep in that sense. They could go lineman. I mean, there's a lot of different routes you could have gone. I don't hate that at all. I would like to see them go edge rusher. Would I've gone him? I don't know. I think you could have gone a couple different routes there. It's tough because it's like, we're doing this so far out, but I don't hate the pick. I don't hate it. But let's go to Minnesota. For them, you can go a couple different routes. I think I will go running back here. No, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to believe it because after this year with Saquon and Derrick Henry, it's kind of rejuvenating the running back position and how valuable they are. And I know Aaron Jones is set to be a free agent. I think somebody will pay him because, right now he is the top name. Maybe they're like, hey, we'll roll with Cam Akers and draft a running back later. So maybe I will go guard here. I don't know. It seems a little foolish of me to assume they're going to take a running back. So, you know what?
I don't hate it. Go for the running back.
No.
It's a stacked class, but
no,
so I
don't think I can do it. You know who I'll do? I'll go with the cornerback out of ECU because they really do need secondary help in Minnesota. I'm going to butcher his name, but Shavion Rebel Jr. I mean, he's also one of the better corners in this draft class. I think the thing that really hurt him is playing at a smaller school, similar to, you brought up Sauce Gardner before, and obviously Cincinnati did make the college football playoffs, so that helped him. But playing at ECU, I mean, you're not going against the top wide receiver things, and it sucks because he did tear his ACL, so he's a bit of a project. But Minnesota, I mean, you saw the team went. Oh, there's Big Dog. You saw the team went, 14-3 this year, so they have the ability to, take a guy who is recovering and has the talent. So I think they'll go with Ravel at 24.
Okay.
Say that again so we can hear you.
Whoever Reagan's going to take here is going to be a terrible pick.
Well, I just took Ravel after you said good pick.
Well, now the Texans are on the clock, a.k.a. Garrett.
Victory. All right. I mean, it's tough with them. They were a great team, obviously, last year. I do think they'll end up taking a receiver. Hopefully one of those other guys falls a little further back to them. Because I think Diggs ends up walking, and you can't rely on Tank Dell at all next year because he might miss the entire season. So that really just leaves you with Nico Collins and Schultz. And when you have a young quarterback like CJ Stroud, you don't really want to unless they bring someone in free agency, you don't really want to waste his like rookie deal. You want to surround him with a lot of talent. So I got to kind of look through who the best receivers are left on the board.
I mean, you could go with Savion Williams out of TCU. You could go Trey Harris out of Old Miss. I mean, I know Tez Johnson's been getting a ton of buzz out of Oregon. I mean, he's not projected to go into the first, so I probably wouldn't go there, but he's getting a ton of buzz at the Senior Bowl.
That's what I was saying earlier.
You know, I mean, if you were, I would probably say Savion, or I might say Trey Harris from Old Miss. I mean, he's a bigger guy. He was
Right, let's
Jackson
go with that.
Darts.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, you're
Jackson
reaching
Dart.
on him too, though. That's the thing.
You think? I mean, I don't know. He was Jackson. No, not
They
him.
have him
Dave.
listed. They have him listed behind as ranked
Who?
80.
You said Trey who?
Trey Harris. So he was Jackson
Nick
Dart's.
Nash, beast.
No,
You
TRE.
see Nick
there you
Nash
go.
was on there too. The stud from like San Jose State.
So
He's
he had,
triple crown.
he had a huge year with Jackson Dart this year. So I don't hate that.
Go to
that's who you
wide
wanna go.
receivers, Dave.
No, he already got him.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
on the board. I mean, he's off.
Well,
the board.
yeah, I don't know which wide receiver they'll go, but I think they'll end up taking one of these guys. Maybe they'll even trade up and try to get like McMillan or someone like that.
Awesome. So, I'm going to go with the Rams here. They're going to go O-line here. Got to keep Matt Stafford healthy. Got to keep him upright. So they'll be licking their chops getting Josh Cornley Jr. from Oregon.
No Jackson Dart.
No Jackson Dart. I am not. I think their window is still open. I don't think they're going to spend a premium pick on the future. I think they're going to go with O-tackle Josh Cornley Jr. out of Oregon. Ultimately, one of the biggest issues for the Rams was, giving Stafford the time to throw the ball. Dave, it's it's like Cone and then RLY. But one of the biggest reasons for the Rams was they just couldn't. You got him right there, the top one. One of the biggest reasons why the Rams, struggled this year was, and Matt Stafford, don't get me wrong, was great against the blitz, but it'd be nice to, hey, let's protect him so these stud receivers like Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua can get downfield, and we don't have to keep dialing up these screens. So I think that'll help in the run game and the pass game. So to me, that's a no-brainer pick for them.
Okay. Baltimore Ravens. I'm
can't get this
probably
one
going to
wrong.
have them. What do you mean?
No, just because your boy Spencer can't get it wrong.
Oh shit! Sorry, Spence. Dude, I think I want to go Nick Scutron, Texas A&M edge rusher. It's the Ravens don't really have like a lot of holes right now, and I think if I could point out a hole, it'd probably be on the defensive line. They don't really have like as many pass rushers as you'd probably love. This guy's 6'4" and he's only 20 years old. From Texas A&M. There are other Texas A&M player listed higher than him, but
Yeah, right there,
Jameer
Nick
Stewart, but
Scutron. Yep, there you go.
I
Yeah,
used him a
no,
lot on my college Madden or college football ultimate team. So I'm a little biased, and he was a stud. But I think the Ravens could use another dog on the D line, maybe even a wide receiver. But I don't really love who's on the board right now for them.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. I'm gonna go with the Lions.
I probably could have just taken a tackle there.
I mean, there's so many different ways you can go here.
Too late now. Fuck it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with another edge rusher in this one, actually from the same exact school. I'm going with Shamir Turner here for the Lions. Back-to-back Texas A&M edge rushers. What a way to go! But to me, there is no world where the Lions do not go defense. You don't even, you need to pair Aiden Hutchinson with somebody. I mean, you need that other guy because you saw that impact it had. Like once you lost him, it was like you lost your whole identity on that defensive line. You couldn't stop the run. You couldn't really get to the quarterback. So you need to pair somebody with him. You'd imagine he'll be 100% to go as soon as the season starts. But still, that should have shown you everything you needed to know with all those injuries and stuff. They got to keep building on that side of the thing, on that side of the ball. I think their offensive line is good enough that they don't need to address that. They got some wide receivers. Their offense is pretty loaded. So to me, it's a no-brainer, and they just go edge, keep stacking up, getting to the quarterback.
Awesome. Washington Commanders, this is a fun one. Coming off their conference game. I'm going to have them go with Armand Membo tackle out of Mizzou. I think
Bambo.
you know Jaden Daniels is your guy. Get him a first-round talent on the O-line to protect him for the next 10 years. I think they could use a lot of help on the defense, but that can be solved in free agency and later in the draft. And why not get one of the highest-rated tackles in the draft here? I'm looking at it now. He didn't allow a single sack last year, and then in 2023 only allowed 2. So this guy's pretty much a lock in pass pro, and you want to do everything you can to keep your star quarterback healthy. So I thought this would be a great pick for them.
Yeah, no, I like that one for linebacker. Or I'm sorry, for the Bills, I'm going to go with linebacker. I think, Matt Milano was great, but he's had so much injury concerns. We watched that playoff game the other day, and I think it ultimately comes down to it's not can Josh Allen outscore Patrick Mahomes, because that obviously won't happen. It needs to be how do you limit Patrick Mahomes that, your offense does enough to get past him. So I'm going to go with Jahad Campbell from Alabama. He's viewed as one of the better linebackers in this class. I mean, he's obviously super versatile, and with his size at 6'3", 244, I mean, he's good against the run, but he's also good in pass coverage, can stop tight ends. And he would be the guy you'd bring in to, shut down Travis Kelce. And while Travis Kelce didn't, light you guys up in this, he also has the speed to be that quarterback spy. So you're not losing to Patrick Mahomes. And even if you match up with the Ravens, I mean, you need an athletic linebacker that can be a spy. And the way the NFL is going, you need the linebacker that can keep up with these new age mobile quarterbacks. So I think it fills a big hole. Matt Milano, how many years of, relevancy does he have left? I mean, he still looks great, but you got to be looking towards the future as well. So, without any wide receivers that are clear cut to take there. And, the draft could shake out differently. I would like Buffalo to take a wide receiver. So, hey, maybe they trade up or maybe somebody falls to him. But in this case, there was nobody I loved there. So give me Campbell.
Yeah, so now it's between Philly and Kansas City. Obviously, we don't know who's going to win, so it could go either way. It's
you go Philly in this case. Yeah.
We'll go Philly. Philly's a team fucking loaded everywhere. Like, there's no.
Yeah, how are they going to say wide receiver is their top need, bro? What?
That's how good they are. They're loaded. They just traded for Jahan. Like, if they wanted another young guy. But, that's how it just shows you how loaded they are. But I think if I had to pick one spot, I'd probably go, linebacker. Because it didn't really work out bringing in Devin White. He didn't really have a great year. And it seems like I guess they could go for another D-end if they wanted to.
I would think Howie does that.
I know who I want to take here. Let me look him up quick. It's going to work out perfectly because Howie's making the pick. I'm going to go Jalen Walker, linebacker from Georgia. We know Howie loves drafting from Georgia. PFF doesn't have him right now. It's a first-rounder, but in Mel Kiper's first mock draft, he had this guy going as high as 7 to the Jets. So we've seen guys who cover the draft put him in the first round and put him as high as the top 10. He's a guy who's going to be a project because he could play edge and linebacker. He's going to like a chess piece. And Philly's a team that can take a chance on a player like that because their roster's so loaded. They don't for sure need like a plug and play starter. They can take the chance. We've seen them do it before on a guy like Nakobe Dean. They get another Georgia linebacker here, and those dogs are happy over there in Philly.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I don't hate that at all, bro. I honestly don't.
Could you not see Howie doing that shit?
No, I 100% could. I think he'll go best player available. He's always got something up his sleeve. And for the Chiefs here, I'm going to have them go D-line here. I think they're just going to continue to, beef it up in the trenches. I got them going Kenneth Grant to pair with Chris Jones. He is a Michigan guy as well. Nice. His boy Will Graham got drafted earlier. But I think he's a guy that has shown some flashes, but his upside is so high that they can take, the chance on him. But, he's obviously better against the run. And to pair him with Chris Jones is great. So I think that's for them. They have the luxury of, hey, let's just, build up. Chris Jones has only got so many years left and it'll be good. What are you laughing at?
What's that face Drox making? He was pissed. Yo, do you want to see?
No, I'm trying to get I'm trying to get the image of the entire mock draft on the screen.
That. Yeah, I was gonna say that.
For some reason, StreamYard's not letting me just share a picture. So give me
Well,
one
how many
second.
Michigan guys is that in the first 4 or 5?
Loveland, Will Johnson, Graham.
Honestly, I can
obviously
just I'm just gonna
I just
share
took.
the entires. I'll just share the
And I think I could see the Chiefs going, punter, long snapper, George Eberle, Charlie Eberle, you never know.
I would love that.
Oh, Dave, if you can screenshot that, because we could post that on
Yeah,
social
no,
media.
I got a picture of it.
Oh, you did? All right, perfect.
Dude, Ashton, Jeanty going to the Bears would be so much fun.
So
That
we'll
would
see. I'm curious to see what the comments say. Also, it's good to have that because it's
Ben
like
Johnson getting in.
we're doing this so far out. We're doing this on January 29th. Like, I wonder, looking back at this when the draft actually rolls around, like how close we were, how off we are. But, if you guys tuned in to this point, thank you for watching. Let us know one pick you really agreed with in the comments. Let us know one pick you really disagreed with. If you did disagree, like, what would you do there? Like, where did we go wrong? Like, was there a player we completely missed out on in the mock draft? Where like, how did you guys not have this guy going in the first round? Or maybe there was a guy where like, there's no way in hell this guy is in a D or a round 2 pick. So let us know. Garrett, Dave, you got any final remarks?
No, buy your fucking crew necks and get hyped up for our golf outing. Jesus Christ, dude.
Subscribe.
My God, dude. This is our best merchandise to date. And it is going to look great on anybody, regardless size, shape, and or color that you get. So get whatever. I mean, I was in full transparency. I was like, I didn't like the green coming from a felter from around the felter. And I have now the green and it looks great on me. It looks fantastic.
Fire.
So
Yeah,
Get
no,
every-
you
get
look
every
hot
color.
as fucking green.
yeah, I do.
Yeah,
Thank
he
you.
does.
Thank you. Well, I'm taken, so slow your roll down there.
Yeah, sorry, Miss Strock.
Mistruck.
What was I gonna say? Yeah,
Sorry.
next week we're gonna have 2 big pods. We'll do one Super Bowl one, and then we'll have one for you degenerates out there where Drock's gonna lead the class on that pod. I think that's gonna be his go-to one. So for those of you who want a little more Drock action, you better sign up for the Zoom link to come to the School of Drock.
Yeah. Flex that merch, baby.
All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Drop a like, drop a comment. If you ain't subbed, do it right now.